offline.
EDH's most popular commanders are hiding a secret. You don't have to run them. Just because a commander's ranked as one of the top dogs doesn't mean there aren't more fun alternatives at the dog pound. So on today's video, we're going to take a look at the most popular, often CEDH or spiky commanders on EDHrec and suggest a more fun alternative. These suggestions, however, must meet 3 requirements. 1, the suggested commander must be the same color or colors as the most ran commander. 2, the alternative commander suggestion must be able to run the same theme. And 3, the deck must take the theme in a fun direction, adding some additional flair and fun gameplay mechanics. So, if you've been interested in some of these powerful commander choices on EDHrec and not so big of a fan of the spiky or try-hard aspect to some of them, here are some great alternatives for those commanders. If that sounds interesting, be sure to subscribe if you're not, and hit that bell icon to get notified whenever we go live to do deck reviews, upload a video, stuff like that. Anyway, let's get it. So let's start things off with the head honcho of EDH, the Dragon. This 5-color dragon commander reduces the cost of dragon spells by 1 even in the command zone, draws you a card when you attack with dragons, and is a fucking 10/10 flying. Sure, you can run this dude if you're like 10 years old. Play your Mirrans and get copies of dragons, run your Dragon Tempest to give them haste and shoot anything with direct damage, that's all fine. You think this thing's ever seen play, dude? You think this massive mana cost giant dragon's ever gonna see play? No. It's never going to see play. It's getting countered, it's getting killed, it's getting removed. But Nick, it reduces the cost of my dragons. You got any rock salt in there? If you know what movie that's from. Come on. Yeah, no, whole table's keeping up removal, whole table's keeping up counter spells for a special place in Dragon Hell for your commander if you run this. It's just going to happen all the time, and you're going to be like, man, I spent all this money and all this mana and all this more money on the deck and all this excitement and all this time and all this, but I want to play my commander. Nope. And you might go, Nick, I have access to blue. I also have counter spells. Sure, keep up 9, 10, 11 mana so that you could also counterspell and play your commander. You see what I'm saying? You're already on turn like 11, 12, so if you're looking for a deck that's not so mainstream, not so try-hardy, not so spiky dragony, might I recommend Ramos the Dragon Engine? This 6-drop, 4/4 flying gives itself a +1/+1 counter for each of the spell's colors when we cast a spell. We can also remove 5 +1/+1 counters from it to add 2 mana of each color to our mana pool. Activate only once per turn, obviously. This is better. I like this. 3 less mana, we don't get any like built-in cost reduction. By the way, the cost reduction's 1 and you're playing dragons, so don't act like it's like, well, that's just the best thing in the way. It's okay. It's okay. A built-in way to get our commander huge and a built-in way to add 10 mana to our mana pool. Would we want to add 10 mana to our mana pool in a dragon deck? Take your time. I like this dragon angle a lot. You can run the draw cards for big creature cards like Garruk's Uprising or Up the Beanstalk, along with cost reducers like Dragon Speaker Shaman, Dragon Lord Servant to play the fun multicolor dragons like Slumgar, Belladros, Mirran to put counters on Ramos, to then remove 5 counters from Ramos and add a total of 10 mana. How would you like a free Cavern Horde Dragon or a free Ancient Silver Dragon? This is even more incredibly overpowered when we run cards like Doubling Season, Earth Crystal, double the amount of 1/1 counters Ramos is getting. Okay. Or cards like Increasing Savagery or Vision of Dominance to straight up put a ton of 1/1 counters on Ramos. Pair all of this with additional dragons that actually care about 1/1 counters like Ancient Bronze Dragon, Canopy Gargantuan, Shadrick Silverquill. Throw in and all will be 1 to turn your +1/+1 counters into damage, and boom, you've got a way cooler build in my eyes, way more casual and fun for a table, and way easier on your wallet. So all 3 of those things, passed a vibe check. Let's move on. The second most ran commander in the format is Edgar Markov. This 6-drop Mardu Vampire is a 4/4 with the ability to create a 1/1 black vampire token whenever we cast a vampire. This, much like the Dragon, still happens in the command zone thanks to Eminence. It's also got First Strike, Haste, and the ability to put a 1/1 counter on each vamp we control when it attacks. And if you're one of those dudes on Reddit who was telling me that Edgar is not only not a very competitive commander, not a spiky commander, he was also saying it's fine to play against, it's not unfun to play against, and also, cherry on top, it's not quick. Edgar Markov isn't fast. Playing a 1-drop 1/1 vampire on turn 1, getting another 1/1 vampire, doing the same thing with 2 more vampires on turn 2, having a total of 6 vampires on your board on turn 2. Hate to tell you, dude, slow. Hate to tell you, dude, slow. Dude, Reddit's energy of I'm going to just wait for him to comment something and then take every word and reverse it to the opposite and send it back is so fucking frustrating. Actually, Edgar Markov's really slow, not try hard at all, and completely fair. Eminence was actually an incredibly balanced ability. Looking ass. Now, instead of this saltine cracker of a commander that's like, oh my god, this is so fun, until you play it 3 or 4 times, and then you're like, oh, sorry guys, ugh. And then someone plays an OP deck versus you, like a CEDH deck or something a little bit better than yours, and you're like, well, this sucks either way. Might I suggest to you, Alesha who smiles at death. So Alesha has an attack trigger where we can pay 2 Orzhov to return a creature with power 2 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Stromkirk Noble. Vampire buffs, lower than a 2/2. Captivating Vampire to steal opponent's creatures, lower than a 2/2. Blood Artist to drain opponents for creatures dying, smaller than a 2/2. Legion Lieutenant to buff Vamps again, lower than a 2/2. Veto to drain people when we gain life. Alendra the Dusk Rose to get big and make more threats. Drawn a Liberator of Malakir to buff our entire board. All of these have 2 or less power. And wouldn't you know it, they're some of the most incredibly power vampire cards in the game. And being able to just cheat them out of graveyard over and over and over again with your commander seems pretty powerful. So yeah, instead of just big boy vampire commander that makes you feel like you're not running small vampires even though you still are, you can just lean into it more and run Alesha, get some recursion on those small vampires, lean into the go wide aspects of a vampire deck, and plug that weenie into that vampire deck. And who doesn't like a good weenie plugged in? Moving on to Atraxa, Praetor's Voice. This commander is every color but red and offers us a proliferation at the beginning of our end step, stapled onto a 4/4 flying, vigilance, death touch, lifelink. Yeah, I don't think we gotta talk about it all that much, but okay. The whole meme based around Atraxa where it's like, no, I'm not running that type of Atraxa deck is pretty much just, you can throw anything that has to do with counters in an Atraxa deck and it will pop off. Very true. It's an overpowered commander. In my opinion, you're getting to run all the best colors in Magic, excluding the worst color. With a built-in guaranteed trigger of one of the most overpowered mechanics ever printed in Magic, yeah, that's gonna be gross, okay? And if you're not looking for that kind of shrug shoulders, gonna be gross commander, here's a suggestion. Now with Atraxa, I was being serious. You can literally run Feldar's Retreat to put 1/1 counters on all your creatures or make tokens, and then like a couple creatures that give themselves energy counters, and you'll be like, wait a second, these are popping off. Yeah, that's how it works. Now to match this commander's colors, I had to go with partners, and honestly, we found a perfect match here. First off, we run Ishai Ojutai Dragon Speaker, a 4-drop 1/1 Azorius commander with flying. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, and we pair this with the partner commander Rayhan the Last of the Abzan, a 3-drop 0/0 Golgari commander that enters with 3 1/1 counters on it, and whenever a creature we control dies or is put into the command zone, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you may put that many 1/1 counters on target creature. Oh, I like this a lot. You play a bird that just gets massive because every single spell your opponents cast turn into 1/1 counters on it, and then you run a follow-up partner that, hey, if anyone deals with that bird, all those counters are going to get moved onto something else, and then we'll play the bird again, and then we'll move the counters back. Or they can just get rid of it at the source, get rid of Rayhan, but then we're still left with the big bird that's getting bigger, and we can just replay Rayhan, so damned if you do, damned if you don't. Again, pair this with cards like Earth Crystal or Doubling Season, and you get double counters from these. And we'll be getting a ton of 1/1 counters. Pair this with some more +1 counter interaction like Forgotten Ancient, who also just scales over the course of the game for people casting spells. Or Vulturous Zombie getting counters when creatures die. And not only do you have an incredibly strong field that only gets better if people try to deal with it, but also opens you up to playing early game evasive creatures like Herald of Secret Streams, giving all our creatures with counters unblockable, or just straight up Slitherblade, being an early game evasive creature we can throw a bunch of counters on. Love it. Then you just plug in the Proliferate sub-theme. We've got Flux Channeler turning our non-creature spells into Proliferation, and we've got Metastatic Evangel turning our non-token creatures into Proliferation. I'm not gonna lie, I actually want to build this deck. This is kind of sick. Moving on to Krenko Mob Boss, another OG classic, being able to double your goblin count by tapping the commander. Yeah, that's going to be incredibly good. Run your Goblin Kings to buff them, your Beetleback Chiefs to make more of them, pair that with Impact Tremors, and boy, do you have a consistent deck there. And also, you have a commander that people are going to kill immediately, because do you know how big of a meme this commander is in the community? If you don't, you will soon. People make jokes about Krenko constantly, and it's because I tap my commander and I get double my power on board most games. It is the most no-brain red deck on the planet. You just tap and you make a bunch of goblins. Cool. Here's a way cooler option, and one that actually ended up winning our commander budget league at the shop, Zada Hedron Grinder. Zada is a 4-drop mono-red commander that is a 3/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, that targets only Zada. You can copy that spell for each other creature you control, and then each copy targets a different one of those creatures. Same strat here. You can even run Krenko in this deck. Run your Krenkos, run your Beetle Bags to make a bunch of goblins, all right? Play your commander, then run cards like Accelerate, which give one target creature haste and also draw you a card. And if you have, let's say, 7 goblins in play, you cast Accelerate on your Zada, you just drew 7 cards for 1 red. I mean, shit, throw a Psychosis Crawler in there at that point, because you're going to be doing this a lot in this deck. Otherworldly Outburst. Oh yeah, you're gonna board wipe. I'm gonna give target creature next time it dies, create a 3/2 Eldrazi. Oh wait, that's all my creatures. And I have like 20 goblins over here. Oh, and I also run Impact Tremors. Sorry. You're gonna take a lot of damage. How about Downhill Charge, giving +X+O equal to the number of mountains we control to target creature? I really don't have to keep going on. It won the budget league for a reason. Busted commander, absolutely egregious. For some reason, not played like super a ton. It's played a little bit, but not as much as like Krenko and shit like that. I think a Goblin Zada deck, way more entertaining, way funner for new players because you get to see some big plays going off. And I hear you saying, dude, Zada's going to get hated off the table too. It's just a Goblin deck at that point. You still run the Krenkos. You still run the Goblin Tribal. You're still just bashing face, doing Impact Tremors, Perforos shit. It's just a go hard Goblin deck. Wait for the perfect moment to drop Zada again, and then play the 1-drop that draws you 12 cards. It's not bad. Moving on to Kalia the Vast, the reason most follow-up Mardu commanders have been lackluster. They're scared to create another Kalia. This is easily my vote for the most ran commander for new players. They see this, they go, I can cheat in 3 of the coolest creature types for free when I swing. That's so cool. I want to cheat in an Avacyn Angel of Hope. I want a free Runescar Demon. I want a free Balefire Dragon. Playing on turn 3 or 4, which in theory, yeah, it's sick. It's fucking cool, okay? But you play it like 2 or 3 times and you're like, I'm kind of just like playing the same dragons, tutoring up the same demons, playing the same angels. And you quickly, much like Edgar, realize, oh, this is really, really powerful. I'm kind of doing the same aggressive thing every game. I'm winning very quickly. And other people don't seem to be having that much fun here. And there's not a lot of creativity on my own end here. And that's if a video, and that's even if it sees play. This is just like Edgar, just like Dragon, people are going to go, I'm just going to hold my Path to Exile. I'm going to hold my Counterspell. I'm going to hold my Beast Within for that thing over there. I hate it. If you love the idea of treating into play dragons, demons, angels, big scary creatures like that in the Mardu colors and you're looking for more of a casual build, might I suggest to you Kroxa and Kunaros. This 6-drop Mardu commander may cost 2 more mana. Might cost 2 more mana, but offers a powerful 6/6 Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink stat line, as well as offering a powerful reanimation of a creature from graveyard directly into play when it enters or attacks. Meaning, all those same dragons, demons, and angels can be put into your graveyard with stuff like Ripples of Undeath or Perpetual Timepiece and cheated into play the turn the commander comes out. Not only that, but if we have a pair of Greaves in play, we can attack with the commander and get 2 triggers off Kroxa the turn he comes out. Also being able to pair this with blink effects like Cloud Shift or Feigned Death effects to have Kroxa re-enter. Not only that, but we have options for tons of demons, dragons, and angels that actually care about the graveyard. Burning Rune Demon searches for 2 cards and ditches one of them into the grave. Ancient Brass Dragon reanimates a ton of creatures from grave, and angels like Rhea Dawnbringer offer a consistent reanimation for us on our upkeep. And guess what? You run Kalia in here, so it's less suspecting for opponents. It's like, hey, oh, and Kalia, equip the boot, swing, cheat this thing into play. Swing with my Kroxa as well, cheat this other big thing into play from graveyard. They're coming in from all ends, baby. And if there's one thing better than a weenie getting plugged in, it's coming from all ends. Let's move on. Up next, we've got Pantlaza. Pantlaza, Sun's favorite, is a 5-drop 4/4 Naya dinosaur commander, giving every dinosaur we cast, even Pantlaza, discover X equal to the toughness. So stuff like Gishath cheating more dinos into play, or Zakama just being a massive dino with tons of abilities, will enter and then discover more big dinos for you to cheat into play. Play the massive mana ramp cards like Dryad of Elysian Grove or Oracle of Moldiah to get multiple land drops per turn so you can rush out these massive dinosaurs. Use Pantlaza to get a little buy one, get one free action. Really fun. If I'm gonna be honest, unlike a lot of the other commanders on this list, I don't inherently have an issue with Pantlaza. I think it's a really powerful effect. You get a free dino when it comes into play. I would consider Pantlaza as about as upsetting as Maelstrom Wanderer, and I think Maelstrom Wanderer can be viewed as upsetting. I've definitely viewed it that way for a long time, but once you get a little bit of interaction in your deck, it's not that difficult to deal with. And I don't think Pantlaza is viewed as like a commander by the community that's like, overpowered, kill it immediately, busted, get that out of here. I think most people are like, cool, dinos. So if you're looking to build a Pantlaza deck, I mean, honestly, if that's the coolest looking dino commander to you, build it, my guy. But if you're looking for another suggestion that's maybe outside of the norm, a little bit more hipster, I got one. I think Samut the Driving Force is an incredible dino deck, being a 6-drop 4/5 Naya commander with First Strike, Vigilance, Haste with Start Your Engines, meaning your speed goes up by 1 when it enters, and the first time each turn you deal damage to an opponent, while also giving other creatures you control +X/+O, where X is your speed, and reducing creatures cost by X, where X is your speed. So just by playing it, you will reduce all your dinosaurs' cost by 1, and apparently, according to Edgar, that's overpowered, according to you guys. And then you can swing with Samut and up your speed by 1 more if you connect with somebody, making all your dinos cost 2 less, and then theoretically, the turn after you play Samut, your dinosaurs could be costing 3 less mana to cast, and again, if you're running the Dryad of Elysian Groves, you're running the Oracle of Moldias, you've got a ton of mana, you can spam dinos into play with this thing. Not only that, a lot of trample on dinos, getting a big +4/+0 buff from Samut. That's going to be good. You want a Pantlaza to come out for 3 mana? How about an Itali for 2 mana? I'm just saying. There's also like a ton of cool Naya dino commanders. I really don't have a problem with any of these. I think it's kind of a cool, fun, niche tribe. I don't think anybody's trying to like get super spiky with dinos. Most of the time it's like, big Timmy dino deck. Oh, you board wipe? At least I got to play a bunch of dinos. So either way, it's fun. Let's move on. Sauron the Dark Lord was definitely the standout commander in his namesake set, Lord of the Rings, and it's easy to see why. This 6-drop Grixis commander is a 7/6 with Ward, sacrifice a legendary artifact or creature. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, amass Orcs 1. Whenever an army we control deals combat damage to a player, the ring tempts you. Whenever the ring tempts you, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. It just is the engine. All the like pieces you would need to be like, oh, once I do this, I get this trigger and then this trigger, and it's all built into the same card. So that's really cool. We get free wheel effects. We get to build up a massive army of orcs. We're doing the control style deck. Opponents play spells. We get to amass orcs. We can sit behind a ton of counter spells and removal to just keep building up a big orc to either bash face with like Rogue's Passage, fling it at somebody, run like a propaganda, Cascoon Falls, sit behind your wall of being untouchable, and then combo off after you're done controlling. It's sure, you know what I mean? That's a very viable strategy in Magic. When your commander is this busted, when you read it, the whole table's going to be like, oh, I'm completely fine losing my commander to get rid of that. You know, it maybe not the best casual commander, so let's find one. So I figured let's run the dude that tried to enslave Sauron and ended up his slave. That seems not the best lore-wise, but card-wise, I like it. Saruman the White Hand is a 4-drop Grixis commander that turns every non-creature spell we cast into an amass trigger equal to the spell's mana value. He also gives our orcs and goblins Ward 2. So he's got the same ability to create a massive army token, but it's more controllable by us. We get to determine when we're amassing these tokens for how much by the spells we play. And essentially we roll out the exact same game plan. We control, except this time when we're playing all those removal spells, those counter spells, guess what? Those are going to be non-creature spells. We're going to be amassing orcs from doing that, which makes this a little bit better in that kind of theme for me. Then we start flinging the orcs if we want to, bashing face with the orcs if we want to, playing a combo behind the wall of Pillowfort if we want to. This is a very similar deck. You don't get the wheel effect of discarding your hand and drawing 4 cards, which is a really good part of Sauron, but you get a more personal way to manipulate the army tokens, and I think it fits better into the control type playstyle anyway. So there you go. There's that. I've got a good alternative for you on this next one, okay? Next, we're going to talk about Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. Yuriko is a 3-mana Dimir commander with Commander Ninjutsu. That means if a creature goes unblocked, this will always cost 2. It doesn't go up with commander tax. It will just cost 2 if a creature goes unblocked. It is very busted. It's also got, whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library, and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to the card's mana value. I get it. This looks fun. Your brain goes, oh, I saw a 13 drop in my binder. Does that mean if I reveal the 13 drop, they lose? Yes, that's what it means. After you play 2 games with this thing, you're going to go, wait a second. I'm doing over 30 damage on turn like 4 or 5 most games, if not more earlier. And I get it, that's fun for a little bit. My brother built this as one of his first decks he ever built by himself. He loved it for like 2 or 3 games and then quickly realized, oh, this deck is not fun to play against. I am absolutely either getting shut down because my commander gets hated off the board immediately, or I am wiping an entire pod of commander and turning a 2-hour game where we ordered pizzas and stuff into a 20-minute game where I'm like, oh, I'll swap out decks and we'll start another one. Listen, if you're like CDH, you're Spike, you like games going quicker, you're at the tournament, you gotta go home so you can hit the hay early enough to wake up in the morning. Get some Yuriko going, my guy. But if you're playing casual commander and you're scrolling through EDHrec and you read Yuriko and you're like, this sounds really, really fun, I'm warning you, it's a slippery slope, okay? Let me give you an alternative that I think is very good. If you want a for fun, more casual version of Yuriko, look no farther than Hidetsugu and Kairi. Hidetsugu and Kairi is a 5-drop Dimir commander that is a 5/4 with flying. When it enters, draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand back on top, so a built-in little brainstorm effect, and that's going to come in handy here in a second. It's also got, when Hidetsugu and Kairi die, exile the top card of your library, target opponent loses life equal to that spell's mana value. And we're not done. If it's an instant or sorcery, you get to cast it for free. Yeah, this one's way more fun and casual. Are you kidding me? You get a big body with flying that you can start to do some really fun stuff with, because if you run clone effects, if you run a phantasmal image for 1 in a blue, you can drop it as a copy of Hidetsugu and Kairi, get the ETB trigger, set 2 big things on top of your deck, sack the clone to the legend rule, because you already control a Hidetsugu and Kairi, and then get the death trigger from your copied Hidetsugu and Kairi. Reveal your top card. Oh, I just set it to be Mnemonic Deluge. Wow, you guys are... Wow, you're going to lose 8 life, and I'm going to cast a free Demonic Deluge and then make 3 copies of any instant or sorcery in my graveyard. Yikes. You can also run Feign Death type effects to get really nasty. Imagine you did the same play we were just talking about. You play Hidetsugu, you play your clone, you get the copy of the ETB, you sack the clone, but in response to the legend rule sack, you play a Feign Death on your Hidetsugu clone, and then when it dies, it returns to the battlefield. You'll have to sack it again, but you'll get a whole nother rotation of that. And let's say on this second rotation, you hit a Rise of Eldrazi off the top. No, yeah, everybody take 11. I'm going to go ahead and take a free extra turn and exile something. Is that cool with everybody? You don't get to play the cards for free in Yuriko. Your opponents are dead, so you don't need to play the cards in Yuriko. So if you're trying to have fun in Commander, I suggest this. Moving on to Lathril. Lathril, Blade of the Elves, is a 4-drop Golgari commander that is a 2/3 with Menace. When she does combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green Elf Warrior tokens. You can tap her and 10 elves you control. Each opponent loses 10. It's Elf Ball. I really don't have to explain it that much. You make a bunch of elves, whether that be creatures or tokens. You play some Elf Lords that give your tokens buffs. You play like an Allosaurus Shepherd or whatever to give your stuff on counterability. Turn your elves into dinos. You Elf Ball. You're just swinging at face. You're doing Elf Ball stuff, and your commander makes a shit ton of elves and then taps those elves to deal 10 damage. And wouldn't you know, an Elf Ball getting that last little 10 damage in is going to wipe most people out of the game. Very powerful. I don't think it's like too spiky or anything like that, but if you're looking for a more fun elf commander option, I think Tyvar the Bellicose is awesome, being a 4-drop Golgari commander. That's a 5/4 with whenever 1 or more elves you control attacks, they gain Death Touch until end of turn, making the attacking of an Elf Ball deck that it's already going to be prone to doing constantly way more likely to get through. And he's also got, each creature you control has, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana this creature produced. This ability only triggers once. Yeah, that Selvella that's tapping to add mana equal to your biggest creature, that's probably going to get huge. Oh, and then add more mana. That's actually busted. And I don't even want to think about Priest of Titania tapping to add mana equal to our elves. That's just like massive. Then throw in a Rogue's Passage and all these huge elves are just bashing face. Then you've got massive go tall elves along with a bunch of tiny elves, because it's an elf deck. You're going to be playing a bunch of elves. And guess what? They all have Death Touch. So really a damned if you do, damned if you don't here. Really like this thing. It also, its ability that gives the +1/+1 counters doesn't say elf. So if you have like a Birds of Paradise, that will still give itself counters. So still probably worth running. I'm going to be honest. I hate elves. I am not, love the movie, hate the decks. This is an elf commander that I'm actually like, I'm not going to build. I'll tell you that. Fuck no, I ain't building an elf deck still. But I'm like, interested. I think this is a cool commander. And then finally, to end off this video, we've got Kenrith the Return King, the 10th most played commander on EDHrec. This 4 and a white 5/5 has pay a red to give your creatures trample and haste until end of turn, pay 1 and a green to put a 1/1 counter on something, pay 2 and a white to gain 5 life, pay 3 and a blue to have target player draw a card, or pay 4 and a black to reanimate a creature into play. Kenrith is really cool, and I like him a lot, and I very much wanted to build him as a reanimator deck. A lot of people play him in like CEDH and competitive, not because he is incredible, but because they're allowed to run all the colors and they have a commander that they can dump all their infinite mana into. That's a mana sink. So that's pretty much why he's used there. You can make a fun Kenrith deck. So if you're thinking about running Kenrith and you don't mind a bunch of people playing the same commander, it is a fun deck. I wouldn't necessarily label Kenrith himself as spiky or like competitive. So a bit of a cop-out answer, but I really don't have an issue with Kenrith. If you want to tap into Kenrith's mono red aggro aspects, maybe go with something like Joda. If you want to tap into his green +1/+1 counter aspects, maybe go with the Dragon Engine we already talked about. If you want to go with his life gain aspects, maybe don't go with his life gain aspects. You can find 5-color commanders that will kind of tap into whatever aspect you were thinking about using Kenrith for much better. Like me, I was like, oh, I want to make a reanimator deck. And I just kind of looked through commanders and was like, I'd rather play Taval than Kenrith. And even if I was looking for a 5-color deck, I found Tazri that I played for like 5 or 6 months and had a blast with. So you can find stuff that's way better tailored than Kenrith. Hopefully, you found some decks that were either less spiky, less popular, less tryhard, less CEDH, all those good buzzwords, and we'll have a little bit more fun at a casual table for you guys. So I will save you guys the time from building some of these, and you could consider building some of my recommendations instead, because I love having control over other people and lording it. The horn works. Why don't you check your lights? My camera just overheated, so I gotta get out of here quick. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a subscribe. We do live deck reviews every Friday, so if you want to check us out at 8 p.m. every Friday to do deck reviews, you can come check us out. We upload those deck reviews here at the channel, so if you want to check those out, they're under the videos tab. If you want to submit some of your own decks, you could become a YouTube member or a Patreon member for as low as $1 and gain access to the deck submission form. Big shout out to all the people you can see on screen right now. Let me know which one of these decks interested you the most, and if you're enjoying content like this, some of the newer content, make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and if you don't have that bell icon hit, make sure to hit that bell icon. I'm gonna get out of your hair, stop telling you what to do, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.